everyone, welcome back to Faith and Flour. I'm Robin, and in today's video I am showing you sort of a typical fall evening routine. Before we get started, I just want to give a warm welcome to those of you that are new to Faith and Flour. We've had a lot of new subscribers lately, which is really exciting, and I am just so glad that you've joined us, and I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. There's a couple things I just want to let you know. As our channel grows, I'm not always able to answer all of the comments, especially on past videos, but I read as many as possible. I love hearing from you, and if you comment on the first day or so of a new video, I will do my best to respond. I say typical, but if your family's like mine, things can change at a moment's notice, and no evening is exactly the same. But in general, this is what our evenings look like, and it usually begins with me getting back from picking up Peyton from his work program. So it's between 4 and 4:30 that we get back, and I don't always start dinner this early, but tonight I wanted to make a homemade Bolognese pasta sauce. This is something that my mom always made and we love, and I usually make a big enough batch to be able to save some, and it takes a little bit of time on the stove. So if I get this going, I will be free to get a few other things done before we sit down to dinner. I will have my basic recipe for my Bolognese sauce in the description box. So if you want to copy and paste it and print it out for yourself, you can do that. And I will tell you roughly what I'm doing tonight. I make this sort of different every time I make it. And tonight I'm gathering some basil from our garden. It's always really nice to be able to add some fresh basil to it. But I just start off with sauteing some onions in olive oil. I add a pound of ground beef and let that brown up. I'm going to go ahead and cut up the basil, but I save this to the end of the recipe because the freshness of the basil really comes through if you don't cook it too long. When the onions are tender and the beef is browned, I deglaze the pan with some red wine, and I usually add carrots to the beef and the onion mixture to saute, and I forgot, so you'll see that I sort of quickly throw those in. It still worked out fine, but that gives it a little bit of sweetness and a nice texture to the sauce, so I always like having those in there as well. I used canned tomatoes for my sauce. It's just so convenient, and these fire roasted ones are amazing. In addition to the fresh basil, I also like using some dried herbs, and I generally use an Italian seasoning. You can buy this sort of blend just about anywhere. I add it to the sauce early on to give the dried herbs a little more time to develop their flavor, as opposed to the basil that I'll add at the end to maintain its freshness. While the sauce is simmering, I use this time to do various things in the kitchen so that I'm not far from the sauce, but I have plenty of time to get a few things done. I was at the grocery store earlier today. I put all of the cold things away, but I left a few things out for our pantry. And I've been labeling the tops of the cans and containers with the expiration date because it makes it easier for me to spot that when I'm searching for things in our pantry. And then when I put them in the pantry, I try to put the newer things in the back so that the older items get used first, and our pantry's constantly rotating so that we don't let anything go expired. And usually this is the time when I will feed Austin as well. And I want to thank Simply Caesar Crafted for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Caesar Simply Crafted makes mealtime special with their wet dog food's delicious meaty recipes. It can be used as a mix-in like I'm going to give Austin tonight. I just stir it into his regular food, and I love that it has simple, real ingredients. Austin is having chicken, carrots, potatoes, and peas, and that's it. There are no other ingredients. There are no fillers or preservatives. Austin was practically drooling in anticipation of this treat, and he's generally not a picky eater, but as you can see, he completely devoured this. And I know he loved it because he went back and licked his bowl probably 10 times after it was completely cleaned. So I think it's fair to say that these Caesar Simply Crafted mix-ins are something that Austin highly approves of and would recommend. We also recently replaced Austin's metal dishes that were getting a little bit rusty and corroded with the hard water that we have here with these really nice ceramic ones. They have a rim around the bottom that is rubber so that they don't move around, and they have matching mats like this one, which as you can see, Austin really needs because he's not a really neat drinker. If you're interested in any of these products, you can find them in my Amazon store. For those of you that are new to Faith and Flour, I always have a link in the description box to my Amazon store, and there I can put links to all of the products and things that you see from my videos and in our home to make them easy for you to find. And if you order on Amazon, I do receive a small commission, but it doesn't affect the price that you pay. I want to say thank you in advance for supporting my channel. As you probably guessed, for dinner tonight, we're going to have spaghetti to go along with the sauce that I'm making. So I'm just filling up my stock pot, adding a little bit of salt and getting that ready to boil for the pasta. And while that's happening, I'm going to unload our dishwasher. Whenever possible, I really like to clean as I go while I'm cooking, and that way there are a lot fewer dishes for me to deal with after dinner, and so that means I can relax a little sooner. And so I am reloading the dishwasher with a few things that were piling up in the sink, and I'm just going to hand wash a couple items like this metal container that Peyton uses for his lunches. Spaghetti, we're just going to have a very simple salad, and I have a little bit of lettuce left over from earlier in the week, and then I'm going to chop up some fresh lettuce. I like to prepare it all at one time so that salads can be prepared very quickly on a busy weeknight. And so as I chop it up, I put it in my salad spinner, wash it, spin out the water, and then I store it in a container that's lined with a paper towel to absorb any excess moisture. And I find that our lettuce lasts a really long time that way, and you really can't beat the convenience. At the end of our meal, everybody puts their own plates in the dishwasher, and then I usually clean up the entire kitchen before we go for a walk. But now that fall is upon us and it's getting darker much earlier, I decided to just leave everything until I get back and enjoy a beautiful sunset and some time outside. There is enough sauce left over for at least 2 more meals, so I'm going to divide it up into 2 Ziploc bags that are freezer safe. And I actually prefer to do this with mason jars, but one of our freezers, the drawers that we have in the kitchen, are not working right now, so my freezer space is really limited, and this way I can flatten out the bags and sort of file these in our freezer, and they take up a lot less space. Having these ready for a future meal in our freezer is going to be a huge time saver one busy weeknight. And I really think that the sauce gets even better over time. As you see, I label the bags. It's really important because once these things are frozen, sometimes it's really hard to tell what it is. And also I date it, so I'll know how long it's in there, and that way I will ensure that we use it before it gets freezer burned. All of the things that I washed earlier are pretty dry. I'm just going to give them a quick wipe down to be sure and put them away, and then that will clear space on my little drying rack for the things that I need to wash by hand from dinner. Usually after I have finished hand washing everything, I scrub down the sink a little bit with some dish soap, and then I clean up the countertops. Tonight I did all that thinking I was finished. When I turned around to wipe the counter behind me, I realized I left out a couple of pots and pans, so I'm not finished yet. now all of the dishes are finished and I can dry them and put them away so that everything in the kitchen is reset. I love finishing my day with a clean kitchen. It just feels really good to check that off the list at the end of the day. I can go relax knowing that that's done. I'm greeted in the morning with a clean kitchen, a fresh start, and I am always so much more productive that way. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Before you leave, make sure you give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe. I really look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments. I appreciate you spending your time with me today, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a wonderful week.